the one thing is that was one of the things that the league had to weigh as you're deciding, do you in fact appeal this? This is going to stay in the news cycle now until it is resolved, and it will overshadow some games without question, because now the Players Association, unless it is a 2-game, unless they up it to 8 games, maybe 10 games at most, you may get away with the NFLPA not appealing it. I think it goes any higher than 10 games, they appeal it, and they go to federal court, and then they drag it out. And the question that you have to ask if you're in the NFL, do you want this in federal court where all this, you're going to have all kinds of questions about the way you have treated owners brought out in federal court? That's where it's headed if it goes to federal court.
Yeah, and that's where I say it's going to get much messier, because then you could say, well, I know Deshaun Watson's obviously been accused of far more cases than, say, something that's happened to Jerry Jones or Daniel Snyder or whatever, but you can look at all those things and say, well, how did they get almost nothing and Deshaun Watson gets 10 to 17 games and gets fined, say, $10 million, for example? And I mean, I know, again, that's what's negotiated in the CBA. That's what stood up in federal court. That's what has led to Tom Brady and Zeke Elliott's suspensions being reinstated after it went through, I think, U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals in each of those suits, in each of those long cases. But it seems like, again, the NFL was willing to risk it because, they feel that, obviously, based on the findings, which are binding, that those can't be adjusted. Those, you have to stick to those in an appeal. And those are very negative towards Deshaun Watson, saying that he did some of the things he was accused of doing in those civil suits. So I guess my guess is they felt like that was enough in their minds, that's proof that they can go off and say that warrants a longer suspension than just 6 games, as well as no fine. So again, we've seen, contentiousness between the owners and the Players Association before. This is nothing new. It's just going to it's just going to be brought out in court once again. And I can tell you who wins, because of the language in the report from Judge Robinson and the prior settlement, the prior statements put out by those courts in those cases involving Brady and Elliott. This is going to be, I can't predict where this is going to go, but again, with this coming, it wouldn't be shocking if Deshaun Watson ends up playing anyway if this goes to court, because they just file an injunction and have him play right away, which again, with the NFL seems like it's a risk they're willing to take.
Yeah, and again, the NFL had to weigh public perception versus the negotiated deal with the Players Association. They decided they were going to upset the Players Association as opposed to the public.